The movie opens in the year 1990, set in a world of robots. A young girl named Michelle watches her brilliant brother, Christopher, effortlessly solves complex mathematical problems, astonishing everyone around him. As they leave school together, Christopher accidentally bumps into a man outside an office. The man mocks him for the small robot on his shirt, but Michelle quickly intervenes, leading Christopher away. Despite his intelligence, Christopher is uncertain about attending college. Sensing his hesitation, Michelle offers him reassurance and encourages him to take the next step forward. Meanwhile, Ethan Skate, the founder of Sentry Technology, is being interviewed about robots. He firmly states that they are not an essential part of society. As the discussion unfolds, the origins and evolution of robots are explained. It all began in 1955 when Walt Disney first developed robots for his theme park. However, their utility quickly expanded, leading to mass production and their integration into the global workforce for decades. Over time, the robots grew weary of their laborious existence and began to rebel, demanding autonomy and the right to live freely. One particularly influential robot, Peanut, rallied a massive following and spearheaded a rebellion against the government. In response, the US launched a war against the machines. The conflict raged on for 2 years with no clear resolution, until Ethan Skate intervened. He developed a revolutionary device called the Neurocaster, which allowed humans to synchronize their consciousness with drone bodies. With this groundbreaking technology, humanity finally gained the upper hand and defeated the robots. To prevent future uprisings, the government established an exclusion zone in the heart of the American Southwest, naming it X. In the aftermath, Sentry Technology further refined the Neurocaster, turning it into a consumer product that enabled people to exist in 2 places at once. By 1994, a few years after the war, Michelle struggles to remove her tracker at her foster home, overseen by Ted. Before she can make any progress, Ted's drone arrives and orders her to do extra work. Frustrated, she refuses and leaves for school. At school, Michelle refuses to wear a Neurocaster during class, which leads to her being summoned to the principal's office. While there, she is shocked to discover that, according to school records, she is listed as deceased. Her family died in a car accident. The principal suggests that using a Neurocaster could help her recover some lost memories, but the mention of her brother unsettles her. Uncomfortable, she leaves and returns home. That night, Michelle has a vivid dream about her past and wakes up abruptly. However, she quickly senses something moving outside. Cautiously, she investigates and is horrified to find a robot lurking nearby. Terrified, she rushes inside and hides under her bed, but the robot quickly finds her. Summoning her courage, she confronts it, demanding to know what it wants. The robot struggles to communicate, pointing at itself and then at her, trying to convey a message. When she doesn't understand, it gestures toward a malfunction in its system. Realizing it needs help, Michelle repairs the robot and then asks for its identity. To her disbelief, the robot claims to be her brother. Stunned, she refuses to believe it and shoves it away, making enough noise to wake Ted. Spotting the robot, Ted panics. He knows it's illegal to have one inside the house. Furious, he demands that Michelle get rid of it and violently throws her aside. The robot, enraged, retaliates, and a fight breaks out. In the chaos, Ted attempts to call the police, but Michelle swiftly incapacitates him with a taser. Seizing their chance, Michelle and the robot flee, taking a car. As they drive, the robot even helps her remove her tracker. Their escape leads them to an abandoned robot graveyard, where Michelle begins pressing for answers about her brother. It is then that she comes to a startling realization. Her brother is still alive, but only his consciousness exists within the robot. To prove it, the robot shows Michelle a vision of her brother inside a laboratory, revealing that the only person who can help them is a mysterious doctor with glasses. The mention of the doctor triggers fragments of lost memories from her accident, reinforcing her determination. The robot explains that the doctor is located inside the exclusion zone. With no other options, Michelle and the robot track down a smuggler who specializes in transporting goods in and out of the exclusion zone. Hoping to find the truth, they head toward his location, ready to uncover the fate of her brother. Arriving in New Mexico, Michelle and her brother locate a smuggler named Keats, who is in the middle of a deal with a customer. Keats presents a firearm for sale, but the deal takes a dangerous turn when the customer suddenly turns the gun on him. Realizing the threat, Keats discreetly signals to his robot companion, Herman, who immediately takes down the attacker with an electric charge. As Keats and Herman prepare to dispose of the body, Michelle and her brother quietly slip into the back of their truck, hoping to use it as transportation. Meanwhile, Marshall's drone continues tracking Michelle and her brother's movements. By morning, Keats and Herman arrive at their hideout, unaware that Michelle and her brother are stowed away in the cargo. As they argue over food, they stumble upon the two stowaways and immediately confront them. Michelle quickly explains their situation, but Keats warns her that venturing into the exclusion zone, X, is extremely dangerous. Before they can discuss further, Keats notices that they are being followed. Suspicious, they prepare for an encounter. Soon, they confirm their fears. It's Marshall's drone tracking Michelle. Keats and Herman turn their attention to Michelle, demanding answers about the trouble she has brought upon them. Realizing he's under attack, Marshall halts his pursuit and launches a counterstrike. A chaotic battle unfolds. Keats and Herman manage to trap Marshall temporarily, but as they attempt to flee, Marshall and his forces open fire. In the chaos, Marshall prepares to execute a trapped robot, but Michelle reacts swiftly, slamming a vehicle into him, allowing them to finally escape. Now free, but deep in hostile territory, they realize they have entered an area swarming with scavenger robots. With no time to waste, they hide and regroup. Michelle suggests heading toward Tabletop Mountain, located at the outer edge of X, where they might find safety. Herman, now preparing for a long journey, integrates into a larger HRM component, effectively transforming into a heavy transport unit. He loads everyone into the van, and they set off. As they travel, Keats opens up about his past. He reveals that Herman saved his life during the war when he was on the brink of death. Since then, they have been on the run from the government, surviving in the shadows. Meanwhile, at Centra Technology, Ethan Skate makes a shocking discovery, a critical flaw in the neurocasters. The data link connecting human minds to drone bodies is beginning to collapse. Alarmed, he gathers his team of scientists demanding an explanation. They reveal that Christopher's consciousness has fully transferred into a robot, meaning that his original neurological link is severed. Realizing that Christopher is the key to the entire system, Ethan understands that if they lose him, the entire Neurocaster network will fail within days. Without hesitation, he orders Marshall to locate and capture Christopher at any cost. Meanwhile, Keats, Michelle, and their group finally arrive at Tabletop Mountain and begin scouting the area. As they explore, they quickly realize that robots inhabit the mountain. Mistaking them for scavengers, the robots launch an aggressive attack, overpowering Herman and taking the group captive. Inside the stronghold, Keats and Michelle meet the leader of the robots, Mr. Peanuts. Desperate for answers, Michelle asks about the doctor with glasses, the one who could help them. Peanuts explains that while he can escort them 10 miles into the exclusion zone, that is the extent of his assistance. Frustrated, Michelle explains everything about her brother and questions why Centra Technology would go to such lengths to capture a single boy. However, Peanuts remains skeptical and refuses to get involved. Determined, Michelle decides to venture into the mountain alone, but Keats stops her, insisting that they wait until morning. That night, Michelle reminisces about her brother, recalling their time together. Her robotic brother senses her sadness and plays their favorite childhood cartoon, creating an emotional moment between them. Later that night, a postman robot named Penny Pal arrives and delivers an unexpected letter from the doctor himself. After reading the message, Keats realizes that reaching the doctor will require serious firepower. Hearing this, Peanuts suggests bringing along a battle-ready robot instead of relying on humans. The next day, the group sets out toward the location given in the letter. As they approach, they fall into an ambush. A swarm of scavenger robots surrounds them and drags them into a hidden chamber. face to face with the Doctor. The Doctor reveals a shocking truth. Christopher was humanity's last hope of winning the war. To ensure his survival, Sentry technology took him away and used his brain to sustain the Neurocaster network. Furious, Michelle demands to know what they did to her brother. The Doctor orders PC, a robot assistant, to show them the truth. Christopher's brain is the central link between the Neurocasters and the drones. If they hadn't connected him to the system, he would have died in the accident. One day, Christopher woke up, and the Doctor, seeing his pain, begged Ethan to disconnect him. But Ethan refused. Unable to accept this fate, the Doctor escaped from Sentry technology, devising a way for Christopher's mind to break free into the outside world. Blinded by anger, Michelle lunges at the Doctor, but Keats holds her back, only to punch the Doctor himself. Before they can react, Marshall's drone locates them and bursts into the hidden room. Peanuts leads the charge to hold him off, buying time for everyone else to escape. Outside, they face an onslaught of drones. A fierce battle ensues, and though they manage to destroy the drones, Peanuts is badly wounded in the fight. Before they can regroup, Marshall launches a direct attack, killing the Doctor and capturing Christopher's robotic body. With Christopher in custody, Marshall declares that the robots have broken the treaty, triggering a brutal retaliation. Most of the robots at Tabletop Mountain are either slaughtered or left in ruins. At the center, Christopher's consciousness is forcibly reconnected to his original body. As the process unfolds, Marshall confronts Ethan, questioning the morality of his actions, but Ethan dismisses him, focused only on the mission's success. Meanwhile, at Tabletop Mountain, Michelle asks the PC robot for the exact location of the center. Determined to save her brother, she and Keats rally the remaining robots and set off toward the facility. Upon arrival, Herman immediately begins hurling cars at the building, creating chaos and drawing the attention of the security forces. In response, Ethan deploys waves of drones to suppress the attack. While the battle rages outside, Michelle and the PC robot slip into the building unnoticed, navigating the corridors as robots clash with drones in an all-out war. Inside, Michelle and the PC robot finally reach the containment chamber where Christopher is being held. They discover that his consciousness is still trapped within a Neurocaster, preventing him from fully regaining control of his body. Before they can act, Ethan arrives, piloting a massive combat drone, mercilessly slaughtering the attacking robots in a desperate attempt to maintain control. At the same time, Marshall arrives prepared to fight, but Mr. Peanuts intervenes, pleading with him to stand down. After a moment of hesitation, Marshall chooses to walk away, unwilling to continue the destruction. Inside the chamber, Michelle makes a bold decision. She puts on a Neurocaster and enters the virtual world where she confronts Christopher directly. She pleads with him to return, but he resists, convinced that his existence has become meaningless. Seeing no other option, Michelle makes the hardest decision of her life. She says goodbye and forcibly shuts down the connection. Instantly, every drone controlled by the Neurocaster network collapses, rendering Sentry Technology's army powerless. With the battle over, Mr. Peanuts captures Ethan and ensures he is taken to prison. In the aftermath, Michelle broadcasts a message to the entire world, declaring the end of the conflict and a new beginning for both humans and robots. Meanwhile, Christopher awakens, not in his original body, but in his favorite robot, finally free to live on his own terms.